to see you.
Hey, Jamie, how you been?
Good. How have you been? It's so good to see you.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. How was the traffic?
You know, traffic in New York City sucks as usual, but I enjoy the city. I love the city.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you finally made the move.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Did you subway in?
I subwayed in, but I took a cab from home. I decided to leave my car at home rather than driving to the train station and then taking the train.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're getting the subway system figured out.
Yeah.
That's a good feat for someone who just moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me, I want to say a year to figure it out. It took me a while. But I'm glad you came in. How was your trip to Miami? I know you just got done.
Miami is beautiful. It is truly gorgeous. I mean, I would recommend going there.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
How are the beaches? Are they as good as everyone says?
Yes. I mean, it reminds me of being in Jamaica.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So how long did you live in Jamaica?
I lived in Jamaica about 25 years before I came here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to move to the U.S.?
So I wanted to be a doctor, and
right.
I decided to go to school in the U.S. I went to Johns Hopkins for my medical degree, and then my residency was at Columbia.
How long of a residency did you do?
About 3 or 5 years.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if I could do that much school.
But I'm a doctor, so
yeah.
Yeah.
A very successful one at that.
Yes.
That's awesome. So, what kind of brought you in today?
So I mean, my friend recommended you
Okay.
as my advisor, as their advisor. They told me that you've been doing great things for them, and I know that I wanted to retire in about 2 years.
Okay.
And I've been traveling. I've been traveling all over the place, and I've been doing a lot of things. I've been managing my own investments for over 20 years. And I think it's time to actually hand it over to someone else.
Oh, wow.
And I need somebody that I can trust. I need somebody with the great strategy, great process that can make sure that my money works for me. And being that I've been doing it successfully for over 20 years,
Yeah.
I need somebody that can do that for me. My friend said that you'd be the great individual, the great person to actually do that. So that's why I came in. I mean, we had a prior call on a phone call before,
right.
and you told me that I should bring some information in. And I believe I emailed those papers to you.
Yeah, I have them right here, actually.
Right, as you know, I'm about 63 and I want to retire in about 2 years.
Right, definitely.
And I'm happily divorced. I'm happy about that because
Is it good?
I know there's some, I don't want to get into that, but I also have about 2 children.
Okay.
And I had 3 grandchildren.
You said had? Did something happen?
Well, yeah, but I don't want to get into that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, if you decide you want to talk about it, or, was it a recent event, or?
And just about 4 years ago.
Okay. Well, if you need someone to talk to about it, I can give you cards of people that specialize in that kind of thing, or if you want to, work something out about it, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so you kind of told me you've been investing for yourself for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of inspired you to talk to someone?
I know I've been doing it for a long time, but I feel like being able to retire and live the life that I want to live, I would have to take my focus off my investments and actually live the life I want to live. I want to enjoy that. So
right.
by having someone else do it, then I wouldn't have to worry about what's going on with my investments, even though I do care a lot about it. But I wouldn't have to do it day by day and looking at my investments and looking at returns and if I'm getting my dividends paid and all that. So I wouldn't have to worry about that if I had somebody else doing it.
Okay.
My net worth, as I mentioned over a phone call, is about $7.5 million. And I brought some information to show you what my investable assets are so you
Okay.
can know how things are. So I currently have an inherited IRA from my dad. My dad passed a couple of years ago, and he left me about. It's okay. I mean, he's a great guy, but yeah, he's a great guy.
Good.
He died a couple of years, and he left me about a $1.5 million, and I currently have about 800 in my traditional IRA, and I have about 1 million in my brokerage account.
Okay, good. So I'm seeing it right here. So 1.5 million. And then 800 and 1 million?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So just so I can kind of clarify, if this is a relationship that you are interested in, you know, kind of what is your investment philosophy right now,
Okay.
and then I'll kind of tell you, you know, my investment philosophy, and we'll kind of see if something like that can work. So you
Right. So I mentioned that I've been doing it for a long time. So I've been investing in really successful companies and companies that pays me dividends. So I like to invest in companies like Apple, Verizon, and AT&T, and those major companies. I have a lot of my money allocated to those individual stocks. And my friend was talking to me about how diversification works in that. But I believe that the way I've been doing it, I've been making a lot of money, and I've been getting paid in dividends quite well. So I don't know how diversification would actually do that for me. But I've been hearing some things about diversification. Can you explain a little bit about that and talk about your philosophy and how it would be beneficial for me?
Okay, definitely. So right now, we'll just say in your brokerage account right now, you have $1 million. And if you said you had $250,000 invested in Apple because you like to pick specific funds, well, let's say something horrible happens. The iPhone 7 comes out and there's a defect in the battery, and if people are on their phone too long, it explodes. So something like that horrible could happen, and then you take their stock that's at, you know, $100 a share, and it drops to $50 a share. Well, that takes your $250,000 that you have right now and drops it in half.
Okay.
And so that's kind of your brokerage account literally already loses a huge portion. Do you see how that's a little risky? So what we like to do is we invest in funds that have companies such as Apple and Verizon and Microsoft in the funds. So you're still staying in those companies that you really enjoy, but you're more diversified. But also we pick funds where it's diversified in not only technology, but in healthcare, and then in water, and, you know, stuff that's all around the globe. So oil, all these different things that kind of have different cycles in the market. That way, when one bad thing happens, you're still safe in this half. Or if one good thing happens, you know, it just kind of balances each other out, and it puts your eggs in different baskets. That way you're not, you know, losing everything at one time. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah, so that's kind of what we like to do as far as, you know, but we wouldn't just pick one fund. We pick multiple funds, and that way all together you're, you know, in a good place, and we take into account your risk tolerance. So would you say when you've done your investments that you're more risk tolerant, or like how do you feel about taking risk with your money?
I mean, currently have about $1.7 million in my brokerage, my checking account.
Okay.
And I've been allocating money from there and to my brokerage account so I can play with it. And I like to invest a lot into these individual stocks. So I think I'm very risky when it comes to doing this stuff. So I can handle that risk. But being that I want to retire, I think it would be optimal to actually continue doing that. But I need to know that I have somebody that I can trust to manage my money and making sure that I don't lose a lot of value and have a high return for me wherever possible. So that's why I mean, I've been listening to my friend. He works in the same hospital that I work in, and he said that the way that things are going for him and how his retirement is looking, it's great. So I want to know how. See, it's really hard to convince me because this is how I've been doing it for over 20 years, and I want you to actually explain to me how it's completely different from what I've been doing and how it's beneficial. And because it's hard to just hand somebody $3 million.
Of course, yeah, that's your nest egg. That's what you've been working for. So I'll kind of explain it like this: if you had a child, because you're a pediatric surgeon, would you want to bring your child to me to operate on?
Oh, no, you don't know anything about that.
Exactly. So, and obviously you've done well with your accounts, but my expertise is in this area. Does that kind of make sense? So I hope that can make you feel a little, you know, safer about trusting me with your money, because this is what I've gone to school for. I mean, I didn't do a residency, but this is what I did my master's in, and this is kind of what I've worked toward, and this is what I've been practicing for the last 25 years. So it is something I know quite a bit about, and so it would be you trusting me with, you know, not your child, but, you know, your nest egg, which is almost as important.
My baby.
Exactly, it's your baby. And so, you know, that's kind of what we would do. And looking at, you want to retire in 2 years, we would want a portfolio that's, you know, a little safer and, that's on the right track, so that when you start to pull from that portfolio, you're not deplenishing it, and that you meet all your goals and kind of that sort of thing. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Right.
So, kind of talk me through, like, is this a relationship that you're kind of thinking you want to get into?
I mean, yeah, because I want to enjoy my life. And
Right.
it's something that my friends have been talking about. They've been going golfing and traveling.
Mhm.
And actually, I'm very interested in going to all these locations that they're going to, going all
Traveling.
over the country, and playing golf with them in Paris or in
Oh,
Ireland.
my
Like
goodness,
that'd
yes.
be amazing. So I love golfing, and it's something that I want to continue doing. And I want to do with my friends. And being able to have somebody else manage my investments,
Right.
and I wouldn't have to worry about it. But I want to make sure that individual is trustworthy. They're
Definitely.
true fiduciary. They're the ones that's gonna have my best interests when they're thinking about my investments. So that's the thing. It's a challenge about handing over so much money.
Right. Well, as a certified financial planner, we do have to uphold the fiduciary standard, so we
Okay.
have to put our clients first.
Okay.
I'll kind of talk you through how we get paid, and maybe that'll kind of elaborate a little further as to any questions you have. So
Okay.
we do a percentage of under management, so that's a year, and so each quarter we take out 0.25%
Mm-hmm.
of your assets that we're managing. But to think of it this way, if your assets do good, we do good. If
Okay.
your assets do bad, we do bad. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we really have your best interest at heart, as in we want to grow your assets. We want to make sure you achieve your goals. And also from a legal standpoint, that's the standard we're upheld to.
Right.
Does that kind of make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of talked to me on the phone about money you had, in checking and savings.
Right.
And it was kind of a large sum. Do you want to kind of explain as to why you have such a large amount of money in there?
So since I've been doing my investments for such a long time, I usually take all my profits and put it right into my checking or my savings.
Okay.
And make me feel safe that I have so much money. So if my money goes down in the market, I have this lump sum right here that I could use for spending or anything, or wait until the market goes back up. So that's the reason why I have so much money in my savings and my checking, and actually being able to have more money to play with. So I like to do this thing where I go in and look at different stocks or different companies and trade as well. So by having enough money in those accounts, I can actually do that and enjoy doing in that. So would I be able to keep some money in? Because I know that it being there, it's not working for me. Because
Right.
I like to make money, but it makes me feel safe.
Right. So something I would recommend, and it's something I recommend for my clients that are wealthier, doctors, lawyers, and such like that, is I recommend your annual income's around $600,000.
Right.
So what I normally recommend is you have $600,000 in your savings account, if that makes you feel safer. That way, if anything happened tomorrow, you literally are making your entire money for a year sitting in your
Okay.
bank account.
Okay.
I mean, we can definitely, that is your money. You can do as you choose, but that's something that we recommend to our clients. And you have almost 4 or 5 times that amount.
Right.
So, and plus, I know that being a doctor, you have different kinds of insurances and things like that. So that would make you safe as well. So you really don't have to hold as much in your checking and savings. And those are kind of things we could walk through if you decide that this is a relationship that you want to continue and you want to go forward in the planning process, and kind of show you where you would be safe if this happened, or this insurance covers this if this happens, and that kind of
Okay.
thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. I just want to be able to. I say I want to hand over all my money, but I still want to be able to play it as well. That's something that's important to me, and I like to do that because I've been doing it for years. I understand investments, but there's this thing about mutual funds and diversification and all that stuff, risk tolerance, and that's something that I haven't been into because I haven't been doing that.
Right. And, kind of we look at it from a whole perspective.
Okay.
So we take into account, your insurance, your estate planning. I know you said you have 2 children and
Mm-hmm.
a couple grandchildren, and maybe, you have ideas for, the passing of your 3rd grandchild, kind of things like that. So we take into account that, and we take into account your taxes. With you being a doctor, you make quite a bit of money. And so some of the strategies we could utilize, we could offset some of your taxes, because I saw that you don't have a retirement account through your workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So something that we could kind of look into doing would be, seeing if you could contribute to a retirement plan at the hospital, and that could kind of reduce some of your taxes. And there are other strategies we could use, but that's just one as an example. We look at, your retirement plan. How do you reach your goals? How do you travel to see your children, your grandchildren? How do you go play golf in Paris on Saturday? We kind of look into that and
how do you
put
guys
everything
do that?
together.
Like, how do you guys figure out if I'll be able to actually be successful in my retirement?
Yeah, definitely. So we do what's called, we look into how much you spend per year.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd kind of look at your budget. I don't know if you have a budget set up right now, but we look into how much are you spending per year as far as on your bills, on, your food, all the things that you need to live in a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we set aside, say that's $50,000. And then we say, okay, you want to spend $50,000 on trips a year. So we put that in there. And then say in 2020 you want to buy a new house. So we put that in there. So we just kind of set up all your goals according to how you want.
Mm-hmm.
And we see if you can reach those goals right now as if you stopped working tomorrow. And if not, we kind of play with the numbers and see, what can we sacrifice on to make sure that you reach all your goals, or what goals are more important as far as, meeting those. Does that make sense?
Okay. Do you guys use any software or anything?
Yeah, well, the planning software that we use is actually called Money Guide Pro.
Okay.
Yeah, and so what that does, it allows us to stress test your portfolio, and it allows us to run simulations, statistical
Okay.
analysis of your portfolio, and kind of see how your success rate would be if we, threw in something happened tomorrow, or maybe you got married again tomorrow, kind of things like that. And we're just trying to check and just make sure everything is going to work how we want it to work.
Okay. That's great. I mean, would you guys be able to set my money? Because I love money.
Yeah, I definitely think that we could do that.
Okay.
I know that you said that you kind of like to do day trading. Is that what I got?
Yeah. Like when I get a chance, I like to check on my investments and buy shares in different companies as much as possible. But laying on the beach or being on a boat sounds a lot better.
Yeah, so we kind of take that away from you, that stress of, everyday checking. But, we think of it as a long-term investment. We aren't really day traders. We
Right.
don't feel like that philosophy is fitting for our firm.
Right.
And we don't feel like it's technically a successful philosophy. So that's not really how we look at it. But we would make sure that, if anything happens in the market, you're the first to know. If anything happens with your portfolio, you're the first to know.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
So, is there any plans that you've had for, something that we do is estate planning?
Right, yeah, I mentioned that I'm happily divorced, so
So-
I don't think since our divorce, my documents have been reviewed, and I want to make sure that certain things are changed, so it
Right.
doesn't go to, she's a great woman, but I'd rather my assets go to my children. And actually, it's something that I want to do. I mentioned earlier that I had 3 grandchildren. One of them passed, and she
So
died.
sorry.
It's okay. She died from brain cancer, and something that I want to set up is a charity.
Okay.
Charity foundation in her name. Her name is Sophia.
Oh, it's a pretty name.
Yeah. I want to set up a charity for her to fund research and help children who can't afford the medication or afford the health expenses
Awesome.
for brain cancer or anything related, because that's something that's dear to my heart. Being a pediatric surgeon is something
Definitely.
that's very important to me, and the fact that she passed, I would like to dedicate my charity to her. So that's something that I want to get into, but definitely the documents for estate plan, I want to have that reviewed immediately.
Yeah. Do you have an attorney that you know of?
I did it a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had some issues with the attorney, and we had let him go.
Okay. Well, something that we could do for, the charity is we could help you find a lawyer that you're comfortable with.
Mhm.
I'll give you a list of, this is a few that we work with personally. If you guys, if you want to look into any of them, if you want to give us a call and kind of see, what you think of any of them.
Okay.
But once you get that in place, you can have them review your wills, because we technically cannot give you legal advice.
Right.
But something that we can do for the charity is, once you find that attorney that you you feel comfortable working with, we can bring them in, and then I can sit in, us three together can work through your finances and from a legal standpoint and kind of make something that's going to work
Right.
for you.
Okay.
And something that you feel is going to be beneficial, because something that might work is a trust, you know,
Mhm.
that can be dedicated to, you know, children with the same problem that Sophia had. And maybe that's something that you want to do, but we could all sit down together and look at it.
Okay.
Does that seem like something you would want to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's important to me. I'm definitely interested in setting up that charity for
Yeah.
her.
Definitely. Is there anything else that I can kind of, you know, walk you through before you make a decision, as if you want me to be your advisor or not?
I mean, it's a tough decision, but
Definitely.
you explain things very clearly. I understand the philosophy that you guys use and the different
Yeah.
strategy you guys use, and how important it is to actually look at my risk tolerance and see if I can tolerate whatever is going on, to make sure that my money's allocated in the right areas. And I understand that investing in these companies are actually riskier than investing in a lot more companies. And you mentioned that I would be able to have some play money, so that's great.
Yeah.
And I can do that. And
We don't want to limit you. We just want to help you get to your goals.
Okay. I mean, my friend said some great things about you guys, and
That's great. It's
that's
good to
why
hear.
I'm here.
Well, I'm really glad that you came in today. I know that you have a lot on your plate, and I know
Mhm.
you have a lot of things you have to do. But if you wanted to send over those documents that we kind of
Okay.
talked about on the phone, we can start getting something together for you. And if you haven't got back to me within a week, then I'll give you a call and just kind of see how things are going, if you just got busy. But before we go, I just kind of want to tell you how our process looks,
Okay.
how a new client coming in would work. So this would be our initial meeting, which
Okay.
I think went well, and then we would flow into what's called the data gathering meeting.
Okay.
So I would take the documents that you sent in to me, kind of review them, kind of build something, kind of make sure I have all my ducks in a row before you come in again.
Okay.
And then we'll have a meeting where we just discuss, okay, what are your goals? What are you hoping to get out of the future? How much money are you wanting to spend? You'll see the top of my head a few times. I'll be writing things down, but just making sure that we've created a plan that's perfect for you.
Okay.
And then once that's done, we'll bring you in for another meeting to do a plan presentation for you. Make sure you don't have any questions, give you kind of an action list of how to get things done. And then from there, we'll be on call whenever you need us.
Okay.
And then the first year we have clients, we do a meeting every 3 months if the client's available. I know you have a busy schedule, so
Mhm.
if that's not possible, we can do every 6 months. But then after the first year, we try to just do semi-annual and annual meetings just to kind of check in and make sure things are okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming in. I know you have a meeting to get to.
Definitely. I appreciate it, Jamie.
I hope you have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.